Project 2025 like looks pretty scary, right? Like you scroll through it, it's all pretty plainly available on their website. You can download the PDF for free and give it a read. It's relatively short. I really want to believe that I'm over worrying. And the disinterested academic in me really wishes he could go back up in the ivory tower and watch, but I can't. I
Yeah.
can't do it.
Have you seen the I hate to say recent Twitter drama because it's like people that have real world followings, but like I don't know, apparently the conservatives are like turning on each other because some of them are anti-Semitic, but then others are like pro-Israel because they're like pro-oppressor. So like they're like fighting about it, and like Ben Shapiro called out Candace Owens or something, and now everybody's going like, oh, Christ is king. And then like apparently Hamas was like helping them with it. I don't know. I'm just, I just read it and I was curious if you had heard of any of this.
One of the things that my friends and I like to do is just sort of roast Ben Shapiro from time to time. I had the absolutely beautiful experience of listening to a reading of his fiction novel, True Allegiance. It's one of the things that really inspired me to be a writer. I said,
Really?
if this swill can sell 1 million copies, then I can do it too. Something this bad made it to print that, what's stopping me? But yes, I have the springs of the girls are fighting, right? The drama is drama. Girls are fighting, and regardless of whatever real ideological disagreements there are, these are people who have substantial resources invested in, maybe we could call it the conservative project, but more honestly, invested in their business and social media presences. And so I imagine that while there are a lot of ideological disagreements, there's probably a lot more personal, sort of behind the scenes stuff that we're never going to see. That's always just painted as like, oh, well, Candy said X, Y, and Z, and Ben believes X, Y, and Z. And so clearly they have these deep disagreements. Ben is willing to stomach a lot of awful stuff for people that bring him money. And
Yeah.
so I don't think there's much ideology driving their disagreements with one another.
Do you think that makes them more or less dangerous in terms of promoting what they're promoting? Do you think the fact that they're doing it for pay is a good thing or a bad thing in the grand scheme of things?
I don't necessarily think it makes a difference, because the fact that they're doing it at all is what matters. And what they personally draw from it is, while that might be their real driving motive, if it has real impact on the ground, then it can be for ideological purity or it can be for that paycheck. And if it's impacting people's lives and if it's encouraging people towards worse opinions about the world, then I don't particularly care what their intentions are.
What do you think is going to happen? From your perspective, as somebody who studies fascism, you're a history teacher, like you're way more of an expert on this than I am. I just see people dooming about it on the internet. Do you think it's going to happen? Do you not think it's going to happen? Do you think they're going to get what they want, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, sure. So I think Project 2025 like looks pretty scary, right? Like you scroll through it, it's all pretty plainly available on their website. You can download the PDF for free and give it a read. It's relatively short. And when you read over it the first time, you're like, oh my God, the sky is falling. In reality, this is not different from the kinds of materials the Heritage Foundation has been publishing since their inception. It's not different than the goals and organizational beliefs of even like mainstream Republicans in the Trump era. And we read it all, I think we see it all at once in the 2025 PDF file, and it's terrifying. And we're like, oh my God, this is something new and bad and worse than the present thing. And it's not. They have been telegraphing and now just saying explicitly like they want more bans on abortions. They are perfectly willing that the more like the furthest right flank of them is like, no, in vitro fertilization is out too, and we don't want no fault divorce, and we want to expand the unitary power of the unitary executive theory to make so the president can act more like a soft dictator, and like that's been the play forever. It just looks really scary and different when you see it all at once in the manifesto.
Okay, I mean, I guess that makes sense. But then I have to ask, do you think they're going to win? And if they do win, are they going to like enact the things that they're saying that they're going to enact? Talking about the Insurrection Act is a little scary because it sidesteps all of the checks and balances or whatever.
When 2016 came around, and I was but a wee lad participating in politics seriously for the first time, was the second ever election I could vote in. The second national election I could vote in. If you would have asked me, well, is Donald Trump going to win, I would have laughed at it, right? And so I think my ability to make predictions is forever marred by just how wrong I was in 2016. Because there's a lot of institutional barriers that prevent full democracy from functioning during national elections, whether it is voter suppression that is always framed as much worse than it is and is also not very effective in actually suppressing votes, or it's gerrymandering, or it's political apathy, or it's young people who are mad at the Democrats for not being progressive enough, or it's the major international scandal of whatever the newest one will be come October, November of this year. It's really hard to predict where not much more than a few thousand people in key swing states will be influenced that I can make a call and say, oh, Donnie's going to win, or President Biden is going to win. I think if I have any hope at all of a sane world, Biden is going to win. It's going to be a slam dunk. If I have any hope in my fellow countrymen, that if we take age out of the equation and say, well, they're both old, and we would, everybody would prefer somebody younger other than either of these two. If we take that out of the equation and just say, okay, one of them is like multiple impeached, multiple indicted, cheated on his first wife, the second wife, his second wife, and his third wife, and his third wife, the porn star, and the other one is like a decent guy who mumbles sometimes. I really want to believe that I'm over-worried. And the disinterested academic in me really wishes he could go back up in the ivory tower and watch, but I can't. I can't do it. But as to the sort of second part of your question, do I think Donnie can win? I think it's very heartbreakingly a coin toss, favoring against, in my personal perspective. I mean, knock on wood. As for whether or not Project 2025 is possible, no, probably not most of it. Probably not even 90% of it. These are the ideological goals of the conservative movement for as long as we've had one. And the difference between now and the 1950s is the professoriate who really began the conservative movement. Right? These are like public intellectuals like Oakeshott and Buckley and Strauss. These are magazine editors and professors of literature, and people with Harvard degrees, and they're all dead. They all croaked. They all died in like the 70s and the 80s because they were old. And now the inmates are running the asylum.